The wrench slipped from Ji-hoon Park's sweaty hands and fell to the metal floor with a loud clang. He cursed under his breath and wiped his forehead with the back of his sleeve. The maintenance bay was hot and stuffy, even with the air recyclers. Running at full power, it was past midnight on the research station, and most of the crew was asleep. But Ji-hoon had work to finish. The atmospheric processors needed fixing before tomorrow's big meeting with the Alien Council. If they failed, everyone on the station would have trouble breathing. Ji-hoon picked up the wrench and went back to work. He was good with machines. Always had been, even as a kid back on Earth. While other children played games, he took apart old computers and radios to see how they worked. Now, at 28, he was the best engineer on the station. The station was huge, floating in space. Above a planet called Kepler-4 for to be, it was built by humans and aliens working together. The aliens called themselves Virexians. They looked like humans in some ways, but different in others. They were tall and thin, with long fingers and big dark eyes. Their skin could change colors based on how they felt. The weirdest thing about Virexians was that they could read minds. Not all the time, but when they wanted to. They used this power to talk to each other without speaking. Humans couldn't do this, which made working together hard sometimes. Ji-hoon was thinking about this when he heard footsteps behind him. He turned around and saw a Virexian walking into the maintenance bay. It was Nala Vrex, the lead researcher. From the alien side of the team, she was beautiful in a strange alien way. Her skin was pale blue, and her hair was white like silver. She wore the standard research uniform, but it looked different on her tall, graceful body. Her big eyes seemed to look right through him. "Engineer Park," she said in perfect English. Her voice was soft and musical. "I need to conduct your psychological evaluation." Ji-hoon's heart started beating faster. He'd been dreading this moment. All humans on the station had to take these tests to make sure they could work with telepathic aliens without going crazy. The problem was, Ji-hoon knew his mind was always full of random, embarrassing thoughts. "I'm sure," he said, putting down his tools, "but I'm pretty busy right now. Maybe we could do this tomorrow." "The evaluation is overdue," Nala said, stepping closer. "It will only take a few minutes." As she moved closer, Ji-hoon couldn't help but notice how she walked. Her movements were smooth and flowing like a dancer. Her uniform fit her perfectly, showing her alien but attractive figure. Without meaning to, his mind began to wander. He started thinking about what it would be like to touch her strange blue skin. Would it feel warm or cold, soft or rough? His engineering mind began to analyze the physical differences between humans and Virexians. How would their bodies fit together? What would it feel like to kiss someone with such different features? Thoughts became more detailed and more inappropriate. He imagined what she might look like without her uniform. He wondered about Virexian anatomy and how it might compare to human anatomy. His mind created vivid pictures of the two of them together. In ways that made his face turn red suddenly, Nala stopped walking. Her skin began to change color, shifting from pale blue to a deep purple. Her big eyes went wide, and she stared at him with shock. "Oh no," Ji-hoon whispered. He realized what had happened. She had read his thoughts, all of them, every embarrassing, inappropriate detail his mind had created. "I'm so sorry," he said quickly, his face burning with shame. "I didn't mean to think those things. Humans can't control their thoughts like you can. Sometimes our minds just wander and we think about stuff we shouldn't think about." Nala's skin was still deep purple, which Ji-hoon knew meant she was embarrassed or surprised. She tilted her head to one side, studying him like he was an interesting specimen in a lab. I really didn't mean it," Ji-hoon continued, stumbling over his words. "I know it's wrong to think about you that way. You're a colleague, and I respect you as a scientist. My brain just does this thing where it thinks about stuff without asking me first. It's not personal. Well, it is personal, but not in a bad way, I mean, not in a disrespectful way." He was making it worse. The more he tried to explain, the more his mind filled with new, embarrassing thoughts. Now he was thinking about her reaction to his thoughts, and about how cute she looked when her skin changed colors. His brain seemed determined to make the situation as awkward as possible. Nala watched this mental spiral with growing interest. Her skin began to shift through different colors: purple, then a light green, then back to blue with streaks of gold. Ji-hoon had never seen a Vrexian's skin do that before. Your thoughts are... ... She paused, searching for the right word. Unexpected? Bad unexpected? Or good unexpected? Ji-hoon asked, then immediately regretted it. Sorry, that was a stupid question. Not stupid, Nala said. A small smile appeared on her lips. It was the first time Ji-hoon had ever seen a Vrexian. Smile. Your thoughts are chaotic, disorganized, but also creative. Creative. Quan wasn't sure if that was better or worse than just being called a pervert. Vrexians think in straight lines, Nala explained. Logical patterns. Efficient. Paths from problem to solution. Your mind jumps around like a... She struggled with the English word. Like a bouncing ball. From engineering to anatomy, to emotion, to physical sensation, to guilt, to curiosity. All at the same time. Her skin was now a warm golden color that seemed to glow in the dim light of the maintenance bay. Ji-hoon had never seen that color on a Vrexian before. I should go, he said, starting to back away. I've embarrassed myself enough for one night. Wait, Nala said, and there was something in her voice that made him stop. I am not offended by your thoughts. You're not? No, I am. Intrigued. She made a note on the electronic pad she carried. Your evaluation is not complete. We will continue tomorrow evening, same time. She turned to leave, then looked back over her shoulder. The small smile was still on her lips, and her eyes had a mischievous glint that seemed very un-Vrexian. Try not to think about me too much before then, Engineer Park, she said. And then she was gone. Ji-hoon stood alone in the maintenance bay, his tools scattered around him, wondering what the hell had just happened. He had expected anger, disgust, maybe even a formal complaint to his supervisor. Instead, he got curiosity and something that looked suspiciously like flirtation. Maybe working with aliens was going to be more interesting than he thought. Ji-hoon didn't sleep at all that night. He kept thinking about Nala's smile and the way her skin had glowed golden. Every time he closed his eyes, he remembered her voice saying his name. This made him think more inappropriate thoughts, which made him feel guilty, which made him think about her even more. By morning, he had dark circles under his eyes and looked terrible. His roommate Sunho Kim noticed right away. You look like garbage, Sunho said, eating breakfast in their small, shared quarters. What happened? I had my psychological evaluation with the Vrexian researcher, Ji-hoon said, pouring himself coffee with shaking hands. Nala Vrex. How did it go? Ji-hoon almost dropped his coffee cup. You know her, of course. I'm the diplomatic liaison. Work with all the Vrexian staff. Sunho studied Ji-hoon's face. Why do you look so worried? Did something go wrong? Ji-hoon wanted to tell his friend what happened, but how could he explain it? Couldn't say that he had dirty thoughts about an alien, and she read his mind. That would be too embarrassing. It was just weird, Ji-hoon said finally. All interactions with Vrexians are weird at first, Sunho said. They think differently than us. But they're not bad people. Allah is actually pretty nice for a telepathic alien. After breakfast, Ji-hoon went to the station's computer center. He needed to learn more about Vrexian culture before his next meeting with Nala. Maybe if he understood their customs better, he could avoid making things worse. The computer files about Vrexians were thick and complicated. Ji-hoon read for hours, learning about their society and telepathic abilities. What he learned made him feel both better and worse. Vrexians shared thoughts freely with each other. It was normal for them to know what others were thinking. They didn't have privacy the way humans did. But they also controlled their emotions very strictly. They believed strong feelings made thinking unclear and messy to Vrexians. Human thoughts were like listening to 10 radios playing different songs at the same time. Chaotic and confusing. Most Vrexians found human minds uncomfortable to read, so they usually avoided it. But Nala had seemed interested in his chaotic thoughts, not disgusted. Why? Ji-hoon also learned about Vrexian relationships. They chose partners based on logic and compatibility, not emotion or physical attraction the way humans did. Love, as humans understood it, didn't exist in their culture. They saw human romance as primitive and irrational. This made Ji-hoon feel a little better. If Nala didn't understand human attraction, maybe she wouldn't be offended by his thoughts. But it also made him sad. Even if she was interested in him, she might not be capable of feeling the same way he was starting to feel about her all day. Ji-hoon tried to prepare for their second meeting. He wrote down what he wanted to say, practiced controlling his thoughts, trying to think only about work and engineering problems. He even did meditation exercises he found in the computer files. None of it worked. Every time he tried not to think about Nala, he thought about her more. When evening came, he was more nervous than before. Nala arrived at the maintenance bay exactly on time. She was wearing a different uniform today, one that fit her even better than yesterday's. Her skin was its normal pale blue color, and her expression was calm and professional. "Good evening, Engineer Park," she said. "Are you ready to continue your evaluation?" Yes, Ji-hoon said, though he wasn't ready at all. "But first, I want to apologize properly for yesterday." Pulled out the speech he had written and started reading it. "I want to say sorry for my inappropriate thoughts yesterday. I understand that Rexian culture values mental discipline and logical thinking. My chaotic human thoughts must have been disturbing and offensive to you. I have great respect for you as a scientist and colleague, and I never meant to think of you in an unprofessional way." As he read his prepared apology, his mind began creating new problems. He started thinking about how formal and stupid he sounded. Then he wondered what Nala thought of his apology. Then he imagined her laughing at him. Then, worse, he started thinking about how beautiful she looked while listening to him. His brain seemed to have a mind of its own. The harder he tried to control it, the more wild and inappropriate his thoughts became. He imagined what it would be like if she accepted his apology by hugging him. Then he thought about what her alien skin would feel like against his. Then his mind went to even more embarrassing places. Through it all, he kept reading his formal apology, his voice getting shakier and his face getting redder. Nala watched this performance with growing amusement. Her skin began to change colors. Again, first a light green, then streaks of gold, then a warm orange that seemed to pulse with her heartbeat. "Engineer Park," she said, interrupting his speech. "You may stop reading now." Ji-hoon looked up from his paper, his face burning with shame. "I'm sorry, I'm making it worse, aren't I?" "You're making it more interesting," Nala said. She moved closer to him, her head tilted in that curious way. "Your thoughts are like watching a storm, chaotic and powerful and beautiful." Beautiful. Ji-hoon couldn't believe what he was hearing. "Vrexians think in straight lines," Nala explained. "We see a problem. We find the most logical solution. We implement it. Very efficient, very boring." Her skin shifted to a warm golden color. "Your mind sees a problem and thinks of 17 different solutions. Plus 3 completely unrelated topics, plus emotional responses, plus physical sensations, plus social implications. All at the same time? That sounds awful," Ji-hoon said. "It's fascinating," Nala corrected. "Yesterday, while thinking inappropriate thoughts about me, you also solved an engineering problem with the atmospheric processors. Your mind made connections between physical attraction, mechanical efficiency, and chemical reactions that I would never have considered." Ji-hoon blinked in surprise. "Did? You did? Your chaotic thinking led to insights that pure logic could not reach." Nala's skin was now glowing with warm golden light. "This is why I wanted to continue your evaluation. I want to understand how human minds work." Before Ji-hoon could respond, the door to the maintenance base slid open. Sun-ho Kim hurried in, looking worried and excited. "Ji-hoon and Nala, good, you're both here," Sun-ho said. "We have a problem. A big problem." "What kind of problem?" Ji-hoon asked. "It's the kind that could end the entire human-Vexian partnership," Sun-ho said. "Several members of the Vexian High Council have filed complaints about mental contamination. They say human thoughts are polluting their researchers' minds, so they want to shut down the project and send all humans back to Earth." Nala's skin immediately shifted to a dark blue color that Ji-hoon had never seen before. Her eyes went wide with shock and fear. When she asked, "The High Council is meeting tomorrow," Sun-ho said. "They're going to vote on whether to continue the partnership or end it permanently." If they vote to end it, we'll all be on a ship back to Earth within a week. Ji-hoon felt his stomach drop. Just when things were getting interesting with Nala, everything was falling apart. Is there anything we can do, he asked. Maybe, Sunho said. But we need to understand what's really happening with this mental contamination. And we need to do it fast. Nala looked at Ji-hoon, her skin still that worried dark blue color. It seems our evaluation will have to wait, Engineer Park. We have more important problems to solve. But as she said it, Ji-hoon could see something else in her eyes. She didn't want their meetings to end any more than he did. The next morning, Ji-hoon woke up to an emergency meeting announcement. All human and Vrexian staff had to gather in the main conference room immediately. When he arrived, he could see the tension on everyone's faces. Commander Hayes, the human station leader, stood at the front of the room looking grim. Next to him was Elder Zexai, the senior Vrexian representative. The alien's skin was a cold, dark gray color that meant he was angry or upset. As you all know, Commander Hayes began, there have been complaints about mental contamination affecting our Vrexian colleagues. The High Council is considering ending our partnership because of these issues. Elder Zexai stepped forward. His voice was cold and formal. Several of our younger researchers have reported experiencing unusual mental states after working closely with humans. They describe chaotic thoughts, uncontrolled emotions, and loss of mental discipline. This is unacceptable. Ji-hoon looked around the room and saw some of the younger Vrexians. Their skin colors were different than usual, warmer, more varied. They looked uncomfortable under Elder Zexai's harsh gaze. However, Commander Hayes continued, we have been given one chance to investigate these claims and provide an explanation. Dr. Nala Vrex will lead the investigation. With Engineer Park as her human liaison, Ji-hoon's heart jumped. Here'd be working closely with Nala to solve this crisis. But he also felt scared. If they failed, everyone would have to leave the station. After the meeting, Nala approached him. Her skin was a worried blue color, but there were streaks of gold that seemed to brighten when she looked at him. We need to interview the affected researchers, she said. Elder Zexai and the other council members are watching everything we do. Their first interview was with a young Vrexian named Kess. He worked in the botanical lab with Minji Lee, human xenobiologist. When they entered the interview room, Kess's skin was shifting between different colors: pink, yellow, light blue. Tell us about your experiences working with humans, Nala said, taking notes on her electronic pad. Kess looked nervous. At first, it was difficult. Human thoughts are so ... loud, chaotic. But after a few weeks, I began to understand the patterns. And then, he paused, his skin turning a bright yellow color. Then what? Ji-hoon asked gently. I began to enjoy it, Kess admitted. Working with Dr. Lee, I started having new ideas, creative solutions to problems. I'm excited about my work in ways I never had before. Nala's skin shifted to an interested green color. Can you give us an example? We're studying plant growth in artificial environments, Kess explained. The logical approach was to create perfect conditions, exact temperature, precise nutrients, optimal light. But Dr. Lee suggested we try something different. She said sometimes plants grow better when they have to struggle a little. It doesn't sound logical, Nala said. It wasn't, Kess agreed, his skin now glowing with warm orange streaks. But it worked. The plants that faced small challenges grew stronger and produced more food. Dr. Lee's chaotic thinking led us to discover something our logical methods would never have found. After Kess left, Ji-hoon and Nala looked at each other. That doesn't sound like contamination, Ji-hoon said. Sounds like learning. The elders would not see it that way, Nala replied. They value mental discipline above all else. To them, enjoying chaos is a weakness. Their next interview was with Veri, a young Virexian who worked in the engineering section. He had been helping Ji-hoon with some mechanical repairs. Like Kess, his skin showed warm, varied colors instead of the usual cool blue. Working with Engineer Park has been ... educational, Veri said carefully. His mind approaches problems from unexpected angles. Can you be more specific? Nala asked. Vree's skin shifted to embarrassed purple. Yesterday, we were fixing a broken pump. The logical solution was to replace the damaged parts. But Engineer Park started thinking about water flow, then about rivers, then about fish swimming upstream, then about determination and strength. Somehow, this led him to realize we could fix the pump by redirecting the pressure instead of replacing parts. Ji-hoon smiled. Remember that. Your logical analysis helped me understand why my crazy idea would actually work. Yes, Vree said, his skin brightening. Together, we solved the problem faster and more efficiently than either of us could have alone. But, ... He looked worried again. I have been having strange thoughts since then. What kind of thoughts? Nala asked. Thoughts about ... friendship. About enjoying someone's company, not because they are useful, because they are ... fun to be with. Vree's skin turned a deep pink color. Is this normal for humans? Ji-hoon laughed softly. Very normal. We call it friendship. Rexians do not have friendship, Nala explained to Ji-hoon. We have partnerships based on mutual benefit and logical compatibility. That sounds lonely, Ji-hoon said. Nala's skin shifted to a thoughtful golden color. Perhaps it is. They interviewed 6 more affected Rexians throughout the day. 11 of them told similar stories. Working with humans had exposed them to new ways of thinking and feeling. They were experiencing emotions their species had suppressed for thousands of years. Curiosity, excitement, friendship. But none of them seemed damaged or contaminated. They seemed more alive than the other Vrexians on the station. Late in the day they met with Mingyi Lee in her lab, she was a small, energetic woman who always seemed excited about her work. When they explained the situation, she became very animated. This is incredible, Minji said, pulling up data on her computer. I've been documenting changes in the Vrexian researchers I work with. Look at this. She showed them charts and graphs comparing the work output of different research teams. The mixed human Vrexian teams are producing 40% more innovative solutions than pure Vrexian teams. Their creativity scores have increased dramatically. Creativity scores? Nala asked. I've been measuring problem-solving approaches. Mingyi explained, pure Vrexian teams find the most efficient solution to a problem and implement it. Mixed teams find multiple solutions, then combine the best parts of each to create something new and better. Ji-hoon studied the data. So the contamination isn't making them worse at their jobs, it's making them better. Exactly, Minji said. The younger Vrexians aren't being damaged by human contact. They're evolving. They're developing emotional and creative capabilities their species lost somewhere in their evolution. Nala was quiet for a long time, her skin cycling through different colors as she processed this information. Finally, she spoke. If this is true, then the High Council is not trying to protect our people from contamination. They are trying to prevent evolution. But why would they want to do that? Ji-hoon asked. Because change threatens power, Nala said softly. If younger Vrexians develop emotional depth and creative thinking, they might start questioning the rigid social structure that keeps the elders in control. Mingyi nodded. This isn't really about mental contamination at all. It's about politics. They left the lab. Ji-hoon felt both hopeful and worried. And they had discovered the truth. Human influence was helping Vrexians grow and develop in positive ways. But convincing the High Council would be nearly impossible, especially if the elders were more interested in maintaining power than helping their people. What do we do now? He asked Nala. We prepare our report, she said, and we hope that truth is more powerful than fear. But as they walked through the station corridors, Ji-hoon noticed that Nala's skin was showing more colors than he had ever seen before. The investigation had affected her too. She was changing, growing, becoming something new. The question was, would she be brave enough to defend that change when the time came? The morning of the High Council meeting, Ji-hoon couldn't eat breakfast. His stomach was twisted with worry. In just a few hours, Nala would present their findings to the most powerful Vrexians in the galaxy. If they rejected her report, the partnership would end forever. Ji-hoon found Nala in the conference room reviewing her presentation one last time. Her skin was a pale, worried blue, and her movements were tense and jerky instead of her usual graceful flow. "Are you ready?" he asked. "I do not know," she admitted. "What we discovered challenges everything my people believe about mental discipline and emotional control. The elders will not want to hear it. But it's the truth," Jehun said. "The younger Rexians are happier and more creative because of their contact with humans. That has to count for something." Nala's skin shifted to a sad gray color. Truth does not always matter when tradition and power are at stake. At noon, the High Council arrived on a massive Rexian ship. There were 12 of them, all ancient. By Rexian standards, all with skin that stayed the same cold, controlled colors. Elder Zexai led them into the main conference room. The room was packed with both humans and Vrexians. Commander Hayes sat with the human leadership on one side. The affected young Vrexians sat together, their skin colors muted and subdued under the harsh gaze of their elders. Elder Zexai called the meeting to order. "We are here to address the contamination of our people by human mental influence. Dr. Nala Vrex, present your findings." Nala stood up slowly. Gihun could see her hand shaking slightly as she activated the large display screen. Her prepared presentation appeared, full of charts and data from their investigation. "Honored elders," she began, her voice steady, despite her nervousness. "My investigation has revealed that the so-called mental contamination is actually a beneficial, evolutionary development." The elder's skin colors darkened immediately. Elder Zex's expression grew cold and angry. Nala continued, showing Mingili's research data. "Young Vrexians working with humans show increased creativity, improved problem-solving abilities, and higher job satisfaction. Their work output has increased by 40%. "Irrelevant," Elder Vorth snapped, his skin a harsh black color. "Mental discipline is more important than productivity. These individuals have lost control of their thoughts and emotions." "With respect, Elder Vorth," Nala said, her skin shifting to a braver orange color, "they have gained control over new abilities. They have not lost anything essential to being Verexian." She showed examples from their interviews. Kess's breakthrough. With plant growth, Vree's innovative engineering solutions, the creative collaborations between species. With each example, the young Vrexians in the audience sat up straighter, their skin colors brightening, but the elders remained unmoved. "Elders?" Zexai stood up, his presence commanding and intimidating. "You speak of benefits," he said coldly, "but you ignore the dangers. Emotional chaos leads to poor judgment. Uncontrolled thoughts lead to unpredictable behavior. These contaminated individuals can no longer be trusted to maintain Vrexian standards." "But they are not contaminated," Nala argued, her skin now glowing with determined gold streaks. "They are evolving. They are becoming more than we ever allowed ourselves to be." The room fell silent. No one had ever spoken to the High Council like this before.
"Dale."
Elder Zexai's skin turned almost black with rage. "You dare suggest that our traditional ways are inferior?" he demanded. Nala took a deep breath. Jihun could see her making a choice that would change her life forever. "Yes," she said simply. "I do." The elders erupted in angry voices. The young Vrexians looked shocked and frightened. Commander Hayes leaned forward, ready to intervene if things got violent, but Nala wasn't finished. She looked directly at Elder Zexai, her skin now blazing with colors that shifted and swirled like a sunset. "For thousands of years we have suppressed emotion and creativity in the name of mental discipline," she said, her voice growing stronger. "We have chosen efficiency over growth, control over discovery. We became so focused on avoiding chaos that we forgot how to truly live." She gestured to the young Vrexians in the audience. "These individuals have remembered what we lost. They have found joy in their work, friendship with their colleagues, excitement about new discoveries. They've become complete beings instead of just logical machines." Elder Zexai stepped toward her menacingly. "And you think this makes them better?" "No, it does," Nala said, standing her ground. "Because I have experienced it myself." The room gasped. Nala had just admitted to being contaminated too. "Working with Engineer Park has shown me what I was missing," she continued. "His chaotic thoughts, his emotional responses, his creative Leaps, they have awakened parts of my mind I never knew existed. I am a better scientist, a better thinker, and a better person because of this influence. Ji-hoon felt his heart racing. Despite his fear for Nala's safety, he was proud of her courage. Elder Zexai's voice was deadly quiet. Then you are no longer fit to represent Vrexian interests. You will be stripped of your position and exiled from Vrexian space. Wait, a new voice said. It was Kess, the young botanist, standing up from the audience. His skin was bright yellow with determination. If Dr. Nala is contaminated, then so am I, and I choose contamination over the emptiness of pure logic. One by one, the other affected Vrexians stood up. Vri, the engineer. Dace, the physicist. Mira, the communications specialist. All of them, declaring their choice to embrace the changes they had experienced. You cannot exile all of us, Vri said. We are some of your most productive researchers. Elder Zexai looked around the room with growing anger and frustration. Then we will end this partnership completely. All humans will be removed from this station. No Vexian will have contact with human contamination ever again. That would be a mistake, Commander Hayes said, standing up. This partnership has benefits for both our species. Surely we can find a compromise. There is no compromise with chaos, Elder Zexai declared. But then Nala spoke again, her voice calm and thoughtful. Actually, there is. Everyone turned to look at her. Her skin had settled into a warm, confident gold color. What if we created a voluntary program, she suggested. Vrexians who want to experience emotional and creative growth can choose to work with humans. Those who prefer traditional ways can remain in pure Vrexian environments. Everyone gets what they want. The young Vrexians immediately showed their support, their skin colors brightening with hope. Even some of the human staff looked interested in the idea, but Elder Zexai shook his head. Unacceptable. The contamination must be stopped completely. Then, we have a problem, Nala said quietly. Because I will not allow you to deny my people the chance to grow and evolve. If necessary, I will fight this decision with everything I have. Ji-hoon stepped forward, his heart pounding with fear but determined to support Nala. And I'll help her, he said. This partnership has created something beautiful, friendship. Creativity, growth, understanding between different species. You can't destroy that just because you're afraid of change. The room erupted in arguments between elders and younger Vexians, between those who wanted change and those who feared it. But through it all, Nala stood steady and strong. Her skin, glowing with colors that showed she had chosen her path. She had chosen growth over safety, truth over tradition, and love over fear. Now they would see if the galaxy was ready for that choice. The argument went on for 3 hours. Elder Zexai and the traditional council members shouted about contamination and the dangers of human influence. The younger Vrexians argued back, their skin colors bright with passion and determination. The humans watched nervously, knowing their future depended on this debate. Finally, Elder Marin, the oldest member of the High Council, raised her hand for silence. Her skin was a neutral gray color, showing no emotion. When she spoke, her voice was ancient and tired. This arguing accomplishes nothing, she said. We must vote, Elder Zexai nodded. All in favor of ending the human partnership completely and removing all contaminated individuals from Vrexian space. 6 elders raised their hands. Ji-hoon's heart sank. That was exactly half the council. All in favor of Dr. Nala's compromise. Proposal, Elder Marin continued. 4 elders raised their hands, along with all the younger Vrexians in the room. But they couldn't vote. Only council members could decide. The vote is tied, Elder Marin announced. 6-4 ending the partnership. For compromise, to abstaining, then we follow tradition, Elder Zexai said with satisfaction. Tied votes default to maintaining current policies. The partnership continues unchanged, and we take no action about contamination. Wait, Elder Moran said quietly. I have not voted yet. The room fell completely silent. Elder Marin was famous for never taking sides in council debates. She always abstained from difficult decisions. The ancient Vrexian stood slowly, her movements careful and deliberate. In my 700 years of life, she said, I have seen our people become very efficient, very logical, very ... empty. Her skin began to change, showing faint colors that flickered like distant stars. Yesterday, I watched young Kess explain his plant research. For the first time in decades, I saw a Vrexian truly excited about discovery. I saw joy in learning, passion for knowledge, pride in achievement. She looked directly at Nala. Dr. Nala Vrex, your proposal has merit. Perhaps it is time for our people to have choices. I vote for the compromise, Elder Marin said formally. The room exploded in cheers from the younger Vrexians and relieved shouts from the humans. Elder Zexai's skin turned almost black with fury, but he could not argue with a legal vote. The decision is made, Elder Marin announced. We will establish a voluntary cultural exchange program. Any Vrexian who wishes to work with humans may do so. Any who prefer traditional environments may remain separate. 2 months later, Jihoon stood in the newly expanded research station. Watching teams of humans and Vrexians work together in the laboratories, the station had been renamed the Kepler Cultural Exchange Facility, and it was buzzing with activity. Nala had been appointed as the facility's director. She wore a new uniform that showed her important position, but more importantly, her skin. Now displayed a constant kaleidoscope of colors that reflected her emotions and thoughts. She had stopped trying to hide her feelings. The third shift teams just finished their gravity research, she told Jihoon, reading from her daily report. They discovered a new method for creating artificial gravity that uses 60% less energy than our current systems. Let me guess, Jihoon said with a smile. A mixed human Vrexian team. Of course, Nala said, her skin glowing with proud golden streaks. Pure human teams are creative, but lack mathematical precision. Pure Vrexian teams are logical, but miss innovative approaches. Together they achieve things neither could alone. The success of the exchange program had attracted attention from other alien species. Just last week, representatives from the Zephyrian Alliance had visited to discuss joining the program. The facility was becoming the center of interspecies cooperation in this part of the galaxy. Jihoon looked out the main viewing window at a new ship approaching the station. Looks like our next visitors are arriving. Ship belonged to the Kellery, a species of crystalline beings who communicated through light patterns. They had heard about the exchange program and wanted to study human creativity and Virexian logic. Are you nervous about working with them? Nala asked. Jihoon thought about it a little. I still have trouble controlling my thoughts around new species. What if I think something inappropriate about crystal aliens? Nala laughed, a sound that still surprised him even after 2 months. Vrexians hadn't laughed before the exchange program started. Your inappropriate thoughts are part of what makes you valuable, Engineer Park. They show that you see others as individuals, not just different species. She moved closer to him, her skin shifting to warm, affectionate colors. Besides, your chaotic thinking has become quite useful for solving impossible problems. It was true. Kuhn's engineering innovations had improved dramatically since he started working closely with Nala. Her logical analysis, combined with his creative leaps, had produced solutions neither could have found alone, other human Vrexian. Partnerships were showing similar results. I have news, Nala said, her skin brightening with excitement. The Galactic Science Council has invited us to present our research methods at their annual conference. They want to learn about human Virexian collaboration techniques. That's amazing, Jihoon said. We're actually influencing galactic science policy. We're proving that diversity makes everyone stronger, Nala corrected. The old way of thinking that different species should stay separate to avoid contamination is being replaced by understanding that differences create opportunities. Through the viewing window, they could see more ships approaching. About the exchange program was spreading. Aliens from across the galaxy were coming to learn and participate. Sun Ho Kim approached them, carrying a stack of application forms. As diplomatic liaison, he was busier than ever processing requests from aliens who wanted to join the program. We just received applications from the Chorus Collective, he reported. They're a hive mind species that wants to study individual consciousness by working with humans. How many applications is that this week? Jihoon asked. 47, Sun Ho said with amazement. From 12 different species, we're going to need a bigger station. As the day ended, Jihoon and Nala found themselves alone in the observation deck, watching the stars together. It had become their evening routine, a quiet time to reflect on the day's discoveries and plan for tomorrow's challenges. Do you ever regret your choice? Jihoon asked. Standing up to the High Council cost you your position in traditional Vrexian society. Skin shifted through thoughtful colors, blues and purples and golds. I gained something much more valuable, she said finally. I gained the ability to grow, to change, to become something new. She looked at him with those large, expressive eyes that now showed emotions her species had forgotten how to feel. I gained the ability to care about someone not because they are useful, but because they make me happy. Jihoon felt his heart speed up. Over the past 2 months, their professional partnership had become something deeper. Not quite human romance and not quite Vrexian bonding, but something new, a connection that combined intellectual compatibility with emotional intimacy. I care about you too, he said softly. Nala's skin glowed with warm, happy colors. I know. I can read your thoughts, remember? And what am I thinking now? Jihoon asked, moving closer to her. You are thinking that this is exactly where you want to be, she said, her skin brightening. Working with aliens, solving impossible problems, and building bridges between species that were never supposed to meet. Can you read any inappropriate thoughts? He asked with a grin. Oh yes, Nala said, that familiar smirk returning to her lips. But now I understand that your inappropriate thoughts are just another form of creativity. And creativity is exactly what the galaxy needs. Outside the viewing window, more ships arrived carrying aliens from distant worlds, all coming to learn about cooperation and growth and the beautiful chaos that happened when different minds worked together. What had started as an embarrassing accident between a nervous human engineer and a curious alien researcher had become a revolution in interspecies relations. The galaxy was learning that differences weren't contamination, they were opportunities. And in the center of it all, Jihoon and Nala continued their work, their thoughts chaotic and logical, emotional and analytical, inappropriate and brilliant, proving every day that the best solutions came from the most unexpected combinations.